You have to love this. Good morning, folks. It's Saturday, and as I warned you, we are here. But if you're catching this on the rebound because you didn't expect it, because what happened is for a while, I didn't have one of our other production sides was not working. So since I have an opt-out card in, if they had the extra people, I would not be working Saturday. At least finally, for a couple of weeks, they were honoring my opt card for the first time, and I'm not kidding. I had an opt-out of Saturday overtime card in since a couple of weeks after I transferred here, which was 10 years ago, and I can count on one hand. Well, all my fingers now on one hand. How many times it was actually honored, and I don't think anybody should have to be coming in because your company just simply doesn't want to take the route it needs to get its stuff done. But we won't go into the specifics because if I did, I probably could get fired. But all right, I'm calling it the Madness Jamboree because I actually saw people throwing fits about, Peter Capaldi's "Don't Watch It" speech. And it's like, I've been saying the same thing for the last few years. If you want to go follow the way of the Nardi, follow the way of, the Hollow Flush and a bunch of those other idiots who weren't even watching the show but are going to criticize it, that's on you. If you're still watching it, though you claim it's destroying your brain, the only person at fault is you. I died laughing because somebody put up a thing marking the anniversary of the Timeless Children. And of course you have the usual childish snide remarks in the comments. And it used to be, we had an old saying, if you had nothing nice to say, then, don't say it. But thanks to the modern age and, of course, the days of social media and things like that, everybody, just says cute little quirky things, especially, in venues where they know that they're going to remain safely anonymous. Like, did you ever notice that a lot of protests and things like that, people are still wearing COVID masks? They're not wearing COVID masks because they're afraid of COVID. They're wearing COVID masks because they're afraid of being identified. They're afraid that they're going to be seen and taken to task over what they've said in public. It's just another way of hiding. Well, Peter dared speak the obvious, which is if your TV show is, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Especially the guys who are jumping up and around, claiming they've completely destroyed the Doctor Who canon and blah. I'm like, I can't believe we're still having this discussion because I don't know how many times I've shot a bunch of these guys down. They've completely disrespected Hartnell. And I died laughing in this one chat room because this guy pulled that line. I go, oh, so Chibnall, did this evil thing, right? And he goes, yeah, well, he's like, oh, you mean just like Philip Hinchcliffe did back in 1976? Huh? I was like, so you didn't even bother to study, about the Morbius doctors? Huh? I said, it's already been done. They had no idea of the Doctor's origins. They had no idea of the Doctor's, previous history when we're first introduced to him. Everything was up in the air, and thanks to a change in canon, i.e., aka the Deadly Assassin, which introduced the 12 regeneration, the 12 regeneration limit. Before that, we have no idea how long the Doctor lived. As I said, I think it was Mind of Evil, Pear Tree. I've been a scientist for thousands of, and then he cuts himself off. But he was about to say, I've been a scientist for thousands of years. Because there was no defined age, really. Now, they did say something about the Doctor being 450 and all that, and that was in the Troughton era. But remember, there was no established continuity. There was no established guidelines. There was no Gallifrey. There were no Time Lords. Time Lords, that term wasn't introduced until the end of the second Doctor run in the War Games. Gallifrey wasn't given a name until Time Warrior. Regeneration wasn't even an established thing or given a name really until Planet of the Spiders. Matter of fact, I always recommend Time Warrior because there's a lot of firsts in there. First time Gallifrey is given a name. First time you see the Sontarans, it's also when we're introduced to a young lady named Sarah Jane Smith, played by Elizabeth Sladen. And I love watching reactors' faces when out comes, Liz Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith in a third Doctor episode, because they're like, what? The canon and the continuity has been changing since the show began. And my other favorite one, evil white corporate villains. Guys, been doing that since the Hartnell era. Incorporating politics and blah, 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 real world issues. Guys, been doing that since Hartnell. Yeah, because Gallifrey wasn't given a name until Time Warrior, which was a wee bit later. Because, it was after Joe Grant left. Thank you. That was the exact episode I'm thinking of. It's one of the ones, Planet of the Giants, which was addressing insecticides and things like that. Also, as we all know, the Daleks were based off the Nazis. And that was further explored when Terry Nation came back and did Genesis of the Daleks. I believe Hartnell was picked by Verity Lambert out of a group of people. And because if I remember right, I also read that in Doctor Who the early years. If you can find it, that's a very, very good book to have. It's very hard to find now, Doctor Who the early years. But I figure if you go looking around on eBay or, check Amazon, things like that, you're going to probably find it. It's very informative. Same thing as The Key to Time, if you can find that book. And it's has nothing to do with The Key to Time, Tom Baker's. The Key to Time was also a very good book about the development and all that of Doctor Who. And I was luckily able to snag a copy at Half Price Books, and I still have it. Very good read. But the Doctor of the early years takes you all the way through the Hartnell era. Key to Time takes you a bit further than that. It goes all the way up to, great, now I'm blanking. But it's a very good book to read, especially if you're, into the history of how this show came about. So, once again, as I've said 150,000 times, the people who say they've broken the established continuity, they've broken the canon, I fall over laughing, and you should too. If it hadn't been for changes in Canton and continuity, you wouldn't have had Time Lords, you wouldn't have had Gallifrey, you wouldn't have had anybody after Hartnell. The show would have ended with, Hartnell. But sadly, hatred sells. Hatred, fear, and just outright ignorance sells. Well, yeah, imagine the look on their faces when they realize that, the whole shows were not real. Thank you. I died laughing because there were a bunch of people, and this was in a tweet, that were dying laughing because Amelia Clark wasn't an actual blonde, and then somebody tweeted back, just wait till they find out the dragons aren't real. So, exactly, the canon of this show has changed so much since day one over the past 60 years. Anybody who tries to write that's why I die laughing at people who try to write timelines for the show. You're dealing with a time traveler. Good luck. Oh, well, I've got to get up and start meandering my way towards 9 hours of involuntary imprisonment. Ugh. I know I get paid for it, but still, I don't want to be here on a Saturday. It's bad enough you're putting in 45-hour weeks. And then, mandatory. I see, to me, the words mandatory on a day you're supposed to be off shouldn't apply, but but take care, everyone. Please be kind, be calm, be safe. Be sure to like, subscribe, and do happy things to that like button and subscribe button. Massage them tenderly, look them in the eye while you do it. And we'll see you all back on Monday. Take care, everyone.